4 ways to kiss a girl on a date. So you're on a date with a girl you genuinely like. The conversation is flowing. The vibe feels right. And there's a moment where you start thinking, I should probably kiss her. But then doubt creeps in. What if she pulls away? What if she's not feeling it? What if I completely misread this? That hesitation is exactly where most guys mess up. Not because they're incapable, but because they wait until the very end and try to jump from 0 to 100 in a single move. That sudden leap creates pressure, awkwardness, and uncertainty. Music. In this video, we're breaking that pattern. I'm going to show you 4 smooth, natural ways to build up to a kiss so it doesn't feel forced, plus a bonus technique that can actually get her to initiate the kiss herself. The key idea you need to understand is this: music. The kiss is not the main event. It's just the final 1% of the entire interaction. If you handle the first 99% correctly, music, the kiss becomes almost inevitable. Let's start with move number 1, the welcome. This happens the moment you meet her, and most guys seriously underestimate how important those first few music seconds are. Before you've even said more than a sentence, she's already forming an impression about your confidence, your intent, and how this interaction is going to feel. If you show up hesitant, unsure, or overly formal, that tone lingers. But if you show up warm, grounded, and direct, everything that follows becomes easier. When you see her, don't pause or overthink it. Walk up with a relaxed smile. Make solid eye contact and go in for a proper hug. Not a half-step lean, not a quick tap on the shoulder, a real intentional hug that lasts just long enough to feel natural. That physical contact immediately breaks the barrier and sets a comfortable tone. Then, as you pull back, you add a simple line that shows intent. This is where most guys either play it too safe or try too hard. Avoid generic lines like, "You look nice," and avoid over-the-top compliments, music that feel forced. Instead, keep it calm and direct. "You look really cute tonight, by the way." Say it like it's obvious, not like you're seeking approval. For example, imagine you're meeting her outside a cafe. You walk up, smile, hug, music her, deliver that line, and then smoothly transition. "Come on, let's grab a seat. I heard this place has great coffee." Or if you're picking her up, you greet her at the door, hug her, give that same line, and then casually say, "Ready? Let's go." Notice how there's no awkward pause. It flows. Now compare that to the opposite. A guy shows up, gives a quick hey, maybe a weak handshake or no contact at all. Avoids eye contact and jumps straight into small talk like, "How was your day?" It feels flat, uncertain, and distant. That kind of start makes everything harder later because you now have to fix a weak first impression. The welcome isn't just a greeting, it's your first move of escalation. Done right, it communicates confidence, warmth, and intent all at once, making the rest of the date feel natural instead of forced. Move number 2 is light touching. This is where you start building physical comfort, but in a way that feels completely natural and pressure-free. Think of it as small, casual moments woven into the interaction rather than big, obvious moves. The goal here isn't to make a move. It's to normalize touch so it feels effortless instead of intentional. For example, if she says something funny and you both laugh, you can lightly tap her arm as a reaction. It's quick, music natural, and tied to the moment. If you're walking together, you might place your hand lightly on her back for a second. Music. As you guide her through a doorway or across the street. If she shows you something on her phone, you lean in slightly so your shoulders touch without making a big deal out of it. None of these feel forced because they're connected to what's already happening. Another simple example. You're teasing her about something and you go, "No way, that doesn't count." And give her a playful high five. You hold it just a fraction longer than normal. Smile, music, and then let go. That tiny extension is enough to create a subtle shift without making it awkward. Or maybe you're sitting next to her, and as you're telling a story, you briefly touch her arm to emphasize a point, then pull music back. It's light, it's momentary, and it feels natural. Music. The key is not to overdo it. You're not trying to stack every possible touch. You're just sprinkling these moments throughout the interaction. So physical contact becomes part of the dynamic. Over time, it stops feeling like touching and just becomes normal interaction. And when you're doing it right, she'll start to mirror it. She might touch your arm when she laughs, music, nudge you playfully, or lean into you while talking. Those are strong indicators that she's comfortable and engaged. But timing is everything. These moments should happen when the vibe is already good, when you're both laughing, relaxed, and enjoying each other. If the energy feels stiff or quiet, forcing touch will only make it more awkward. So, always build on positive moments. Let the interaction lead and music use touch as a natural extension of that energy rather than something you're trying to force into existence. Music move number 3 is getting closer. Now that there's already some comfort with touch, the next step is to gradually reduce the physical distance between you and her. This is where a lot of guys go wrong. They spend the entire date sitting far away, keeping everything polite and distant. And then at the very end, they try to suddenly close that gap all at once. Instead, you want proximity to increase slowly and naturally throughout the date. One of the easiest ways to do this is by choosing the right environment. Sitting side by side at a bar or on a bench makes closeness feel normal. Music while sitting across a large table creates unnecessary distance. Walking together is also powerful because movement naturally brings you closer without it feeling forced. For example, music. If you're strolling through a park or heading to another spot, your shoulders might brush or you might briefly take her hand to guide her through a crowded area. These small moments build comfort without pressure. Music. Even if you start the date sitting across from each other, you should still look for opportunities to shift positions. Maybe after some time you say, "Come sit here, music." It's more comfortable, and gesture to the seat next to you, or you suggest grabbing dessert somewhere else, which creates movement and a chance to reset the positioning. These transitions make getting closer feel like a natural part of the date rather than a calculated move. Another powerful technique is using proximity during conversation. Leaning in slightly when you speak, especially with a softer tone. Music instantly changes the dynamic. For instance, if there's background noise, you can lean in and say something like, "Wait, what did you just say?" and stay close for a moment longer than necessary. Or even without noise, you can lean in and say something more playful like, "That was actually kind of cute," in a lower voice. That closeness combined with eye contact creates a more intimate atmosphere. At this stage, you're no longer just having a conversation. You're creating a shared space that feels more personal music. And once that space is established, moving forward becomes much easier and far more natural. Move number 4 is the pre-is. This is the bridge that most guys completely skip, and it's exactly why they get stuck. They build some attraction. They're sitting close. There's been light touching, but when it's time to actually go for the kiss, they hesitate. That hesitation creates pressure, and the moment either becomes awkward or passes entirely. Music. The pre-kiss removes that pressure by giving you a smooth, low-risk step right before the actual kiss. The idea music is simple. Instead of jumping straight for her lips, you go for a soft, intentional kiss on the cheek. But the execution music is everything. This is not a fast, nervous peck. It's slow, calm, and deliberate. Music about a second long. It should feel relaxed, not rushed. For example, imagine you're sitting close together, maybe after a shared laugh or a quieter moment in the conversation. Eye contact lingers a bit longer than usual. You lean in slowly, kiss her cheek gently, and then pull back just slightly, but not all the way. You stay in that close range. Now comes the most important part, music. You read her reaction. If she smiles, keeps eye contact, looks at your lips, or leans in even a little, those are clear green lights. At that point, you're already in position. Music. There's no big move left, just a small shift forward into the actual kiss. It feels natural because you've already bridged that gap. On the other hand, if she turns her head slightly, breaks eye contact, or seems a bit tense, that's not rejection. It's just information. It means she's not fully ready yet, and that's completely fine. Instead of forcing anything, you simply ease back into the conversation. Keep the vibe relaxed, music, maybe tease her lightly, and continue building comfort. You can always circle back later when the moment music feels better. For example, after the cheek kiss, if she pulls back slightly, music, you might just smile and say, "Your trouble," and continue talking like nothing awkward happened. That keeps everything smooth and confident. This step is powerful because it removes the all or nothing pressure of going straight for the kiss. Music. It lets you test the moment, adjust based on her response, and keep everything feeling safe, natural, and controlled. Now, for the bonus technique, the phase shift. This is where you change the tone of the interaction. Most guys talk the same way the entire time. Same volume, same energy, same rhythm. Music. But attraction grows when the vibe shifts. You go from casual conversation to something more intimate. Lower your voice slightly. Slow down your speech. Hold eye contact a bit longer. Add a subtle smile. For example, music. Instead of joking loudly, you pause, look at her and say softly, "You're actually trouble." Music that shift alone can change the entire mood. Think about scenes in movies where two people are about to kiss. The energy becomes quieter, slower, more focused. That's what you're creating. When you combine music this with being close, light touch, and the pre-kiss, it often leads to her leaning in first or making it very obvious she wants you to. So, when you stack all of this together, the warm welcome, the gradual touch, the increasing closeness, the pre-kiss music, and the phase shift, you eliminate the need for a risky last-second move. Instead, everything builds naturally. By the time you go for the kiss, it doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like the next obvious step. And that's the difference between forcing a moment and creating